Well, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to this beta launch of mForce365, where we're all going to make meetings matter. I'm really pleased that you could come along today, and I'd like to thank you for your time. Launching a beta product is interesting, right? We're not totally fully baked yet, but we certainly have a bunch of features, and we're offering it out there right now for free. I'm really excited about what we're bringing with mForce365. Like most of us, I'm pretty fed up with meetings that run over time or don't have an agenda or don't achieve anything. For example, I was in a meeting earlier this morning where we were waiting for somebody else to arrive, and somebody was playing hold music while we waited for them to arrive, and that's money being lost in the organization. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the core features of mForce365. I'll show you at the end how to get access to it for free, and let you really have a feel for what we've been building here and how it works. So without much further ado, we have an agenda, as every good meeting should, by the way. We're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about how we manage projects, action items, agendas, recordings, meetings, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the software and how it works. So mForce365 is a brand new piece of software which integrates with your Office 365. So unlike almost, from what I can see, any meeting application out there, we don't store any of your data on our own servers. It's all stored in your own Office 365 and therefore subject to your own requirements for data sovereignty or data security or data archiving. Some of the key features I'll work through now, just to give you a feel for how it works. But remember, this really runs in your browser on your mobile device or on your PC or Mac, and the data is stored and it communicates with Office 365. Hey, by the way, if you want to ask a question, there's a questions box which you can click on in meeting chat. Feel free to ask a question there, and I'll get to it as we go along and see if I can answer it. So without much further ado, let's talk about projects. So there's a ton of features in Microsoft 365, which allow you to do all sorts of things. There's bookings and planner and to-do and all sorts of stuff. And one of those is Microsoft Planner. And Microsoft Planner allows you to create project management for projects you're working on. Now, Microsoft Planner is really cool. I'm a big fan of it. But the interface, when I want to get something done really quickly, it takes me a little while. And I really want to find, what we wanted to build here was a way of creating and managing what we call Kanban boards. And you've probably seen them as columns with little blocks in them to actually manage your projects. And mForce 365 does this, and it stores that information in Microsoft Planner. So you don't have to worry about where's my data. So I'm going to make this presentation full of demonstrations. So let's have a little look at our projects demo. So this is mForce 365 once you log in. What I'm going to do, that was the dashboard you saw there. We'll look at that in a bit more in a bit. I'm going to go and create a new project. So I can give it whatever name I want. And I do this quite often when I'm working with a customer. And then you choose a team. Now, projects need to be associated with a team. So you choose any team in your business. That will build the project. There it is. And it starts with one, what we call bucket or vertical stripe, which is called to do. I'm going to add a couple more. I'm going to add in progress, and I'm going to add done. And that's where I want to put my items. And I can use the arrows at the top to move those around. So I get a really easy, quick view of what my project looks like. If I want to add a task, I just click add, and you see what we've done here is we've really simplified the interface. The focus here is on getting your projects built and workable really quickly. You're 5 minutes before you have to have a meeting with a customer. You want to talk to them about what you're doing. It's all in your head. Here's a way of getting it down into a project. And so in the meeting, you can be dragging those cards across from to do to in progress to done, etc. That's how that all comes together. And remember, as you're building this data, and there you go, drag one around. As you're building this data, that's integrating directly with Microsoft 365. So it's not like this data is sitting in some external system you can't get to or you can't use. In fact, let me just drag that one there, pop that in there so you can see I can move things around. I can click things as done. I can drop them into different things. I've got this huge ability to work with those things and move them. But if I click on the blue icon with the name of the project, that takes me straight to Microsoft Planner. first time I've used it here, so it's going to start happening. And there is my plan in there, and I can do all the other items I might want to do and flick backwards and forwards between mForce365. So really demonstrating that we are talking to Microsoft Office 365 as well as the product. It's kind of why it's so fast. And this is real time. So let's look at action items. I'm in a project, I'm in a meeting, and we want to take action items. Now, Microsoft 365 does this in some ways. You can have tasks in Outlook, you can have items in Microsoft To Do, or you can have tasks in Planner, and we saw those just before. And those are all higgledy-piggledy around the place. What we've done in mForce 365 is we've actually pulled action items together into one thing. So you'll see on the front screen, straight in front of you, I've got all the action items. Those are my top 10. If I click on the little icon there, it takes me to a list of all the open action items. So I can see these are coming from Planner. I could have other items coming from To Do or other items coming from Outlook. Really quickly, I can click into them, I can give them an importance, I can give them a due date, and I can add information around them. These action items allow me to manage task lists, manage things to do, share them with other people, and communicate with them. And again, these are all the tasks that live in Microsoft 365. So they're not something separate, in something I've got to export and import. They're live, they're in your data, and 365 is going to make use of those to alert you when things need to be done or when they need to happen. So that's action items. And I'm showing you these because we're going to bring this all forward and use these in meetings in a second. So dashboard on the left gives you kind of an overview of what's going on. So let's keep going. The next thing is agendas. Now, meetings, I get so many meeting invites that have no agenda. I don't really know why I'm going to be there. I don't really know what we're going to discuss. And I think it's important to set up agendas for meetings. And the way we can do that in mForce 365 is through agenda templates. And so everybody will have their own agenda templates. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually pull that together and see how that works. Back to the dashboard. I've got the ability to go and click on agendas. And you'll say, this is a brand new instance I created in a demo environment. So I'm going to create an agenda I'd use for an association or a society. The standard one you go to is a committee. And so what you do is you give it a name and kind of give it a description, which I'll do here. And then we're going to put in the items. And because we don't know how long your meeting, it's a template it's a template. We can put a percentage of time for each item. So you say, I'm going to type in apologies, which is the first thing in a meeting. Then we look at minutes from the last meeting. Then we're going to look at, I suppose, the director's reports, which will take a bunch of time. So I'll just put in 40% there. And you see at the top, it's telling you what percentage of your meeting you filled with agenda items. So you can make that get up to 100%. Now I can edit these on the fly. I can move them around, but it's really quickly building me an agenda that I can step through and make sure we're keeping the whole meeting to time. And not just that, when you get the meeting invite, it's going to be useful to you. It's not just going to be a meeting invite with nothing else. Again, I've got the ability to create, retrieve, update, and delete those standard things. So those are agendas. Now, those are things which aren't in Office 365. We actually have added those as an additional feature. So you don't get agendas in Microsoft 365. They're a new thing for mForce. So the next one, whenever you have a meeting, and we're doing this right now, we're recording this meeting, you never know where your recording is. It used to be that it used to live in Microsoft Stream, but Microsoft have moved it around. So what we've got the ability to do is we've got the ability to work with recordings, see them and view them. So I'll show you this really quickly. You see down the bottom, I've got a meeting in red and green. Red means it's an external meeting. Green means it's internal. So here's a recording for a meeting. All I have to do is click on it and it will go through and play back that meeting in my browser or on my mobile phone. I also download it from there, but it gives me instant access to every recording of every meeting, which I've done in this example through Teams. So meeting recordings are a key feature. But let's get to really where the rubber hits the road. Let's go to meetings. Meetings is mForce 365. It's making meetings matter. It's what it's all about. So let's look at how we make meetings matter using the functionality. And there's lots to unpack here. So walking into meetings, what I do is if I was to go back to meetings, I've got a scheduler, and this is what's in my Outlook calendar. If I click on a meeting, instead of editing it like I would in Outlook, it takes you to this page, and let's walk through it. First thing you get is a timer. That shows you how the meeting's going. I can choose a template for the agenda, and there's my agenda as we had before. It tells me how long, when those things will happen. I can associate meetings with a project, and that will become useful later. And I can invite participants. You see, I've got a couple there. The meeting will be a different color depending on who you invite. If you invite people just internally, it'll be one color. If you invite external people, it knows and it can tell you that's an external meeting. There's the 4 items at the top. Next, I've got meeting notes. There's a couple of modes for this. I can add single lines by typing in and pressing enter, or I can add multiple lines and add rich text if I want to. We've then got our action items, and that gives me a list of all the action items I can pick and associate with this meeting, so we know what we're doing. Also, in meetings, we can make decisions. So this allows me to record the decisions we make, the answer we gave, etc. And at the bottom is a file explorer, so you can upload files with this meeting, and that saves in your OneDrive. We have a thing called a binder, which I'll talk about in a minute, but all the different things we can do here with the meeting. If you want to make it a Teams meeting, click Set Up Online Meeting, it'll create the link, and we have a meeting QR code. That means if you're having a meeting, somebody can click on this and join as a guest, even without an mForce365 license, and follow the meeting live in this interface as things update. So we'll start the meeting. That takes us to the first piece of the agenda. And you see this meeting was a while ago, so that the time, I'm over time already. I can move through the agenda item, and that adds what happened to the meeting notes. So everything reacts in real time, and we can see what happens, even if you've joined in a QR code. I can do some things in the meeting. I can reset the meeting back to not started. I'm not going to do that. I could pause it if I wanted to, but let's end the meeting now. So we've done a meeting, we've recorded notes, we've done a bunch of stuff. What that creates is this thing called the binder. And the binder, as a meeting organizer, is first of all, starts life as a Word document. And in it contains all the information about your meeting. It will have the notes, it will have the agenda, it will have linked projects, linked action items, linked attendees, all put into a Word document. And this point allows you to go and edit this to create a full and final record of the meeting. So this is where you can update your notes. You can make sure everything's as you want it to be. When you finish with that, you can click Finalize and Send Binder. And what that does is that removes the binder as a Word document, and it makes it a PDF. And it automatically adds that to the calendar of every attendee. And I'll just log into my calendar now. Without them seeing, so they don't get an email that says you've got this attachment. It just appears in their calendar. So when they go back and say, what did we discuss in that meeting I had with Nick? If you go look at the meeting, and I'm just loading it in my calendar now, what you'll see is there's a PDF attached. And if I open that PDF, that is an immutable version of those meeting notes, ready to use, ready to see, like really, really easy to make happen. That's a high level view of what we can do with meetings, which is kind of funky and cool. Key thing here is if you're in a compliance industry, if you're in law, you can update your notes, get them right, and then they're there stored for everybody to refer to. So that's an overview of what we can do with the beta of mForce365. Let's talk about the application a little bit. Well, first of all, as I said before, all of your data is stored in Microsoft 365. The application is actually written in a technology called Microsoft Blazor that lends us to doing very neat things in the browser, and also expands to us being able to deliver this as an Android and iOS app in the next iteration. Because we built it using Blazor, we don't run servers. Everything is your data that runs under your rules in your Office 365. So you don't have to think about, am I compliant? Where's my data? Right sovereignty? Will it work? Will it scale? Because it's already using your platform that does scale. So interesting architecture here, but really helped us hit the market. So we are a beta. There's a bunch of things we're thinking of. We're going to be selling this through the Microsoft Store. So you won't go and buy it online, you'll buy it through the Microsoft Store, which means if you have an enterprise agreement or you're a large organization, you can buy it through that. We're going to be delivering native iOS and Android applications later in the year. We're going to do more about meeting recurrence and management. And for enterprises, we're going to do a bunch of work about contacts, groups, and reporting, so you can see meetings and how effective they are in their environment. So really, in 16 or so minutes, that's an overview of mForce365. You can click on the link right here. When you do click the link, it's going to ask for permission for the application to read Office 365. And feel free to click yes, or you don't need to be an admin to make that happen. The application will run and it will be working with your data. It's non-destructive, so feel free to use it and have a play. And right now in a beta phase, we're really interested on getting your feedback about what you think about the application and what it does. So that's my presentation. That's my overview of mForce 365. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a valuable use of your time. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, and I'll hang around for a bit and answer any that are there. But if you don't have any, thank you for attending. Please try it out and give us some feedback about what you think about it. Thank you very much. Have a super day.